Oh no, we didn't level enough. We only are ready for Sunken Temple now. We're down from so far we've had 2 options, now we're down to 1. Badoof.
I need a target.
Yeah.
Oh wow, my inventory is full of random stuff. Anyway, what's the skill actually do? I never read it. Hardens your skin, reducing all damage you take by 40%. And giving you immunity to interrupt and silence for 8 seconds.
Turns your butt into an outside butt.
Ah, grr, I have unending resolve. What is this aesthetic?
What is happening?
I look so weird.
Wait, what? Did you drink like a potion?
No, it's just a skill I have now.
Oh.
I just reduced 40% incoming damage. And it's like a weird face shows up on my chest. It's just a really weird visual.
Interesting.
Like, alright, well, this is happening.
It's a shard.
Mutilated Mistwing carcass. And shards.
Yeah, that was the thing that we just killed earlier.
Where oh, there's a shard. Yeah, we didn't see a single one of these. Probably help if we had flying. Yeah.
Oh, Mistwing.
Bing. Oh, there's one up here.
It's Negatory and the lightning breath, sir.
Negatory.
You see another one?
Yep. Leave me be, fools.
Zapper gnome. That sounds racist somehow. What defines a zapper gnome? The pie?
Someone must have just flown through and grabbed them all because they're suddenly showing up.
I mean, yeah. Someone probably was just on this quest.
God damn, flying mount people that could fly.
We're almost there. It's at 60.
We're about to be out of this continent.
Sweet bliss. I can't wait till we can fly.
We're gonna go from incontinent to out continent.
Oh no.
Die. Die.
Damn hippogriffs. Get out of here, you nasty bird.
I got a kick out of the fact, or was frustrated by the fact too, of, like, just the experience of, like, I was already frustrated by the fact that Overwatch doesn't have story, despite being so full of character. But then, like, a few months ago, I finally went through and watched every single, like, cutscene and, like, CG movies that it would, and so on, and I'm like, there's so much work put into these.
Yeah.
These all feel like the beginning of a thing that should have a good story. And then they made a product that just didn't have a story for like 4 years.
That's kind of Blizzard's MO, is that they're really good at making story concepts, but they're really bad at following through stories.
I have never been grabbed by anything made by Blizzard ever, narratively.
Really?
The way that the Overwatch, like, CG movies can. Like, none of the Diablo or Warcraft stuff was ever anywhere near as, like, interesting.
I don't know. I think StarCraft had a really interesting lore in the beginning, but I think I got less interested the further along the game went, because I was like, oh, okay,
for me, it's that Blizzard's never, aside from maybe like Deckard Cain in a stupid nostalgic way or something, Blizzard's never been able to give me a single character I gave a shit about, and so therefore I just tuned out every story they had because they didn't contain people I cared about. Whereas,
I know
like,
that feeling.
Overwatch is really good at filling its entire roster with characters that I'm like, oh, what's up with that guy? What's his deal? And they have like an attitude and poses and aesthetic and so on. That, like, even if it takes the Pixar shortcut or whatever, like, they're like appealing characters, and you're like, what's their deal? What's going on with them? And so then you get fed some cutscenes, and you're like, yeah, all right.
I need to get closer.
I'm curious. But then, like, there's no plot. It's just
Yeah.
a bunch of like character intros and no coherent idea of what anyone's doing in Overwatch or what's happening.
I mean, I think that's what 2 is going to solve,
Yeah.
at least, but with the PvEs, so that would be nice. But
What's really weird about 2 is that it seems to be a narrative sequel to 1, and it's like you never made a story in 1. Like everyone's getting aged up and time is passing, and I'm like, you forgot to tell a story in 1, so making a sequel to that is even weirder, especially when 1 itself is already the story about an organization that once upon a time was together to fight crime or whatever the fuck, but then disbanded because they were made illegal or something maybe,
so
and now they're back. And that was the story of 1.
I think that's the point, is they're trying to retcon they're trying to retcon not explaining 1 by making the plot of 1 the plot of 2.
It's just strange that like 1 was already like this organization existed in the past and it's coming back now, but
yeah, like
that entire story point was never elaborated upon, and then now they're making a sequel to that where the time goes forward even further, and it's like, we're gonna start this story so many stages late into its like story, but it's where we're starting, and it's like, why are you doing that? And that's not even talking about other elements like the generations that came before the main cast, like how Anna's from an older generation and so on, that is even before. Like when they say older generation, they're not talking about the version that got disbanded that had Winston in it and so on.
Yeah,
they're
talking
Winston,
about like the original OG military.
It's like when we play Havana, I think that's Overwatch. That's Genji, Tracer,
Winston
and Mercy before Overwatch gets disbanded.
Correct.
Which is later than the old generation of Overwatch featuring Reinhardt and Mercy and Anna. But it's still newer than the version you're actually canonically playing as in all of the story beats of throughout most of the franchise, most of the game, because that's supposed to be after they get back together. Because I'm like, it's so fucking convoluted. Because like Winston presses the button and brings them back together, and like Mei comes back from being in like a frozen thing and so on, and like everyone's coming back, and I'm like,
so those are happening at different times, by the way. Like Mei unfreezing is happening at a different time than Winston pressing the button.
Or like that all happens like three like fucking like layers deep into the timeline of the story. In a franchise that basically still hasn't had a story, and I'm like, what? This is way too convoluted already. And like that's exactly like it's like it's gonna be interesting to see them try to tell a real story, just because like they're already showing the warning signs of how all the bad things happen in like their World of Warcraft franchises and so on, for example, where it's just so fucking convoluted, and there's like 3 different versions of Outland for some reason and so on, and like Illidan's dead but back, but dead but back, but dead but back. and like
and unfortunately the person at the helm of all this WoW fan.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a rough one. I mean, yeah, it's not like a decade happened between, because like the idea here is that
I mean, they can't make time go too forward, or old people will die.
Old people will die.
That was the thing that they had to deal with in Soul Calibur, is they made the choice to age up the entire cast and progress time forward in like 5, I think. And so a bunch of characters were older, and some characters had to be removed entirely because they either died or were too old to fight. I remember being frustrated specifically because my favorite character, Kilik, just wasn't in 5 or 6 or whatever. There was a new like monkey staff guy.
Oh, because monkeys don't live that long.
Well, Kilik's not a monkey, but you know what I mean. Like a Monkey King inspired character that fights with the red staff and all that. I think this replacement was more explicitly a Monkey King character though than Kilik was, because Kilik's just that Soul Calibur character that has the brown hair and the red trench coat and the staff.
Oh, maybe there was like reservation. They didn't want to go full cartoony with it. Like maybe they're trying to.
Like in 5 or 6, they replaced him with a new character
by that point they were
had the same, but he had the same moveset.
I think we got our audience down. I know what we can get away with.
Well, that is another thing though, is like we talk about timelines, it's like it's actually really hard to tell what the fuck's happening in the CG videos that do exist about the story. There's so many layers of time travel.
Yes.
And like,
there's no indication
people will
of time.
hop in to like correct you about like what's going on. Like, is that Talon or Fang or Dark Watch or whatever? And like the moments where like we're gonna play a special mission where we're evil versions of characters from the other mission. It's like we're playing. It's Evil Reaper, but before he was Evil Reaper, because it's a different Evil Reaper. He doesn't have a mask yet, but it's still evil. But then some of these other characters are going to be in this group, and they seem more good later, maybe, because they're in a creepy SWAT team thing right now that seems like morally dubious. But later there seem to be protagonist characters, if that is later, or maybe it's sooner. How do you tell? Did they turn evil in Blackwatch? Whoa! Like,
Blackwatch is kind of, well, people didn't turn evil in Blackwatch. I think the problem was that in Blackwatch that was controlled by Reyes, whereas Overwatch was controlled by Soldier. So Soldier had a more
it's just the way it's presented is incomprehensible.
Yeah, it's just a typical
everything
Naruto
you say
Sasuke thing.
Everything you say to clarify it is not in the game.
Yeah, that's in the comics. So you can, on the website they have like comic stuff.
You just keep getting told like, oh yeah, like Doomfist is bad and like Moira is bad, but here's a mission that has Reaper and McCree and Doomfist together, or Reaper, McCree, and Moira together. But then here's this cutscene about how like Echo and McCree are best buds, and Echo seems to be pretty unambiguously a good character. So like, what's up with that? And you're like, I gotta decode some fucking back of the cereal box shit because they won't make a fucking story. Just make a campaign.
Yep.
Swear to God.
I mean, I agree. I would love to have an overall story. I love the concept. I love the original trailer. It's so
I like most of the characters, and I just want them to do stuff. Even though it's really funny how every cutscene is just Tracer getting fucking murked. She loses in every cutscene she's ever in.
Look, her only superpower is traveling fast.
Yeah, it's like, here's Tracer losing to Doomfist. Here's Tracer losing to Widowmaker. Here's Tracer losing to a caravan of cars in Havana, where they fail to like defeat them or something, or capture the guy because they have to put the whole mission. Like, she just continually fails. I didn't think she lost to it. I thought she took care of both of them. She just, the guy. They just failed ultimately, at least. I'm trying to remember that cutscene very well, but the main thing is that in the two other cutscenes, she just gets destroyed. Like her destruction by Doomfist is like worrying. You're like, oh, I think she's fucked. And her cutscene with Widow, she like really inadvertently gets someone killed. It's like, wow, Tracer's really knocking out the park in these games.
She's the main character.
She's the hero we all deserve.
It's the poster child.
She is like, she is framed like Jubilee. Like, she's the new character that is supposed to help introduce the story if they made a story, which they didn't, but... Because, like, the King's Row mission is Tracer's first ever mission. As she says that in the cutscene.
Yeah, that's, the Omnic invasion of Britain.
That's also, like, the last of all characterization you get of her.
Yeah.
And like the cast is so big for how many story elements there are, to the point where like it's really frustrating when you play the third story mission and I think 3 out of 4 characters, or maybe 4 out of 4, no, I think it's 3 out of 4 characters are characters that were already in one of the 2 previous missions. And you're like, what about everyone else? When did we get context for any of those people? Because they wanted to do a thing where they remember when Tracer was like new and scared? Well, now she's like sure of herself and stuff, so character movement. But it's like, but we never have seen May ever. And so many other, and like, you know, most of the cast. And then you have all the plot elements of like, it's really hard to accept the idea of them adding new characters to the roster and not having that represent any kind of like time progression. Every time they add a new character to the roster, we're supposed to just pretend they were always there. Which is really confusing.
It's rough too for stuff like Orisa, where it's like, okay, but it exists in this it exists post Overwatch being activated.
There is no aspect of Overwatch that's like even though the whole community feeling when it happens is, wow, Echo's in the game now. No part of the game is like, wow, Echo's here now, because Echo, the moment she comes into existence, she was always there.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, this is really hard. This is.
Yeah, it's because I
need a goddamn narrative.
There's no plot mission. You know, like when a new character comes
don't
out,
get introduced.
Yeah.
They just were always there now.
Do you remember, don't get touched by the walk of spirit. He will kill you.
I don't think I'm able to attack it at all. Yeah.
Yeah, he's always immune to damage. He'll go away after a set amount of time. But he will kick your buns.
Kick your buns.
Kick your buns. He is dangerous.
It's funny that it's funny to want a story this bad from a company that I've never wanted a story from, basically.
Yeah.
Because I've tried. I've had multiple times where I've tried to like engage with the narrative of World of Warcraft, for example, and invariably I'm eventually just like, oh my god, shut up. And it's like, why? And like that's my reaction to like a thing that I myself decided to do, but I'm just like, I can't. Like I always think of like that Game Grumps video where Dross tries to explain the world to the rest of the cast. Like they try to explain World of Warcraft to them, like the narrative and what's happening in the world. It's just this nightmare whiteboard of noise, and then fucking Jesse Cox shows up and he's like, yeah, this is about right. He pretty much nailed it. And it's like, I hate it. I hate that. No.
That's a very disheartening comment to hear.
I only briefly will have a moment of like, oh, that guy, he's here. There's just like characters.
Hey, I know
there's
you.
just characters in WoW I like to see, but they're stuck in a narrative I can't bring myself to pay attention to for 30 seconds straight, because it's like it's just ambient in script form. Like it's the most desperately boring shit. But like I'll see like Zul'jin or Bloodhoof or Greymane or a few other characters and be like, oh hey, they're here, and then I'll be right back to being like, oh fuck, the talking. Yes.
Oh no! Wait a second. You're not supposed to say things.
The heart of Azeroth, or something's happening. And I'll have that reaction somewhat to like Illidan showing up, because it's like, yeah, or like Malfurion. I'm like, oh, I know who that guy is. Once upon a time when I was a kid that only read, I read a lot, but I only read video game books, which is a fucking disaster. That was back when I read Resident Evil and Halo and so on. I also read the trilogy I read the trilogy of Diablo books and the trilogy of World of Warcraft books. So for that reason, when I see Illidan, Malfurion, and Tyrande, I think is their name, I'll be like, oh, it's them. But like all the details are gone. they've been left. They've been dumped. They're just there somewhere, but I don't remember where they are. Can I banish him? I can't banish him. I don't think I can CC this guy. Just keep running from him. Yeah, I did really get a kick out of the Battle for Azeroth mission you play, which is entirely linear and very boring to play when you're playing it, but there's a couple little moments where it's like, ha ha ha, yeah, it's funny. Involving like the fucking Greymane, the fucking unstoppable Terminator monster you have to run from for like 5 minutes because if he catches you, you're fucked. Or like fucking, apparently now, what's her name? Is it Proudmoore, I think is her name? Like Proudmoore is now like Frozen. She's also from Frozen. Like she has they changed her hair to have that one like single French braid that goes over one shoulder, and she has not just she's not just a mage, but she has like fucking intense ass like macro scale ice powers that affect an entire environment around her. Like she literally is Elsa from Frozen. So like during this whole escape, you're like running away and you're trying to escape from like Nightmare, Terminator, Greymane, and his army of Worgen that are just fucking raining upon you. And like every time you go the wrong way, an ice wall will conjure across an entire street of Stormwind, and you have to go a different way. It's like these are like they're such cartoonishly overpowered characters.
I mean, they've survived like apocalypse level dungeon, and so it's
like really funny though to live through. Like the context you have to put it in, like seeing these characters.
I mean, in some level, you are that strong too. Like you do millions of damage.
Yeah, but you see these like you see these dramatic cutscenes, like the one in I think Legion, where it's like an important character sacrifices himself and dies, and you're like, oh, this is a well-made cutscene. I wish I cared, because unfortunately, me caring about this cutscene would rely on me processing everything else that's been happening in between the cool cutscenes, and there's a lot of that, and it's really dense with really boring like pronouns or proper nouns and place names and dense lore that mostly boring. But also, whenever I talk to people that understand it and know about it, they also say it all contradicts itself and doesn't make sense anyway. So I'm like, okay, well, so fuck it.
Yeah, my dog didn't eat my homework. I just literally didn't do it.
Yeah, I don't know any hardcore WoW fans that like know the plot,
care about
that are
the
like
plot.
no, well, that know like out of the ones that know the plot, none of them like can be like, and also it's good and makes sense. It's like, oh no, it's a nightmare mess.
I mean, that's because they don't have to. Their
like,
job isn't to
I got
acknowledge that.
Yeah.
Like, you won't hear Blizzard say the canon is shitty. They'll just be like, there are some works we can do with it, but it makes sense. Like,
yeah,
things are happening for a reason.
But like, one of my most familiar locations in WoW is Burning Crusades expansion in the continent of Outland, because that's where I raided. That was the one expansion I was a raider during. And so like it's like nostalgic for me now, because that place was like made like 12 years ago at this point. It was back when that was happening, when I was like in the early, it was like late high school, early college years and so on. And I got to the Draenor expansion on my rogue, and I saw the zone names, and they were Nagrand and Shadowmoon Valley, and I just had to go, Marty, help, what's happening? Why is it the same places from Outland? And he's explaining that there's like an alternate timeline version of Outland, and I assume that's why Illidan came back at some point, because like I did a whole dungeon that was all about killing Illidan, and I killed him. Yep. He's dead, but like then Illidan was back in a later expansion, and I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? Is Arthas back now? I don't know what the rules are. Can't you make new characters?
No.
There's something really depressing about Blizzard feeling the need to make so many of their expansions be about the villains from Warcraft 3, and not just making new ones more.
It's because it's called World of Warcraft, but they've never made a new Warcraft to expand the lore on, so it's just stuck with this weird, like, it's a weird Star Wars problem almost, where they created, like, the expanded universe is like 200% larger than the actual 3 movies.
Yeah, but none of it's canon.
But none of it can be canon, because then George Lucas has to like sit down and read all this shit and go like, okay, so if I make another movie, I have to account for the fact that these 3 babies met each other once on a planet here. Like, what the fuck? So I think WoW's in that problem where they don't want to do too much out of the box, because then if they make another Warcraft game, they're screwed, and they're already going through an HD remaking them, which tells me they may have plans to make new Warcraft in the future. If they can like get this, if they can get a new generation of people interested in Warcraft again, then like you can start expanding the WoW lore, because you can say, wow, Warcraft 6 talks about why Illidan's son, the Great Clapster, showed up, and then you're like, okay, Clapster. And now you have like more characters. I don't fucking know, man.
He's a seal.
This is a seal. Great.
The Clapster art. Why can he mount? What? What? What crimes are you guys doing? What the fuck?
What crimes are you guys
How did they do that? How'd they mount? What the fuck? I can't mount in here, I'm indoors.
I think they have a whistle.
This is bullshit. To some extent I get the idea of like the struggle.
Trying to maintain a lore this big.
So I just finished reading all of the graphic novels based on Dark Crystal.
Yeah.
There's a prequel trilogy called Origin Myths that sets up how that world came to be, and Olgra and the Skeksis and the Urskeks and so on. It's like, okay, so backstory, fine, this makes sense. Then the next one was a sequel to Dark Crystal, and on some level it was a little frustrating how it contained a lot of derivative elements, like the crystal gets sharded and somebody is taking a shard from point A to point B while being pursued by the Chamberlain, specifically the Skeksis. Like so many elements are so similar that's like, But then the next one is the sequel to that one, and that sequel trilogy features no Skeksis and no Uru and no Urskeks. So none of the three parts of the, you know, the split creature exist in that storyline. And there's an entire other kingdom of fire gelflings that were introduced. The firelings were introduced over the course of the first trilogy. And so now it's about one storyline happening in the gelfling land and one storyline happening in the fireling land. And neither of them involve a shard or any Skeksis or any of the things you'd expect. And it's like you can trace how we got here from the previous storyline, but at the same time, while you're going through the storyline, there's definitely the part of me that's like, but this isn't why I'm here. You know what I mean? Yeah. So there's the struggle, like if you do genuinely reintroduce all new things and let the old things go, there's really specific there's like really specific ways to do it, and some of them don't always do it right. And I think, like, I read the Dark Crystal comics and I was kind of like, I don't know if this is the right way to do that, because eventually it just became about all new characters doing all new things with all new creatures and all new reasons. And it's like, at some, which also leads to the discussion of like whether sequels are worth making in many cases, because that's also the problem, is that they insisted on making the sequel content to the Dark Crystal when they could have just not, because the Dark Crystal had a clear like beginning, middle, and end. And Dark Crystal ends with all of the most interesting elements of its story being taken out of existence, essentially. So the idea of making sequels to it is a weird choice, which is why the Netflix series is a prequel, because they could have Skeksis in it. That's clearly why they did that.
Well, spit it out.
I mean, yeah, there's no no reason why you would continue the story.
Because even if on some level the story is like good or something, it's just like, I'm like, but is this Dark Crystal like fundamentally?
The thread is gone,
is it?
And
yeah, like the connective thread's gone.
Yeah.
And it comes down to like, oh, so you still haven't leveled up enough, huh? You're 54.
54?
I have no dungeons to queue us for.
God damn it.
Because we already did Blackrock Depths, Upper City, and Sunken Temple. Oh, it looks like it's a little bit of a drought though, because I'm level 56. Blackrock Depths Detention Center was 47, then Sunken Temple was 50, and Blackrock Depths Upper City was 51. So even from your perspective, the last dungeon unlocked 3 levels ago.
Okay, so that's not too bad.
I wonder if there are any more.
I mean, I'm sure there are.
I need to find like the... Really should be bookmarking this. Oh, yeah, there's only one more dungeon left in all of Vanilla WoW.
Really?
Yeah, Lower Blackrock Spire is level 55.
Dang.
And then we need to go to... Ooh, should we do LFG raids? I've never done that before.
Sure.
Aren't they supposed to be like sanded down and easier and made for like random pugs to do, basically?
Yes, they are.
It's like an easy mode version. Then you play the hard mode version with your real guild, basically. Yeah. And get the real loot. Because I think that's the intention, is that did we do Ubers already, or is Ubers one of the raids? I forget.
Couldn't answer. Do not remember.
Elbers we get at level 55. So when you level up one more time. But at level 58, we unlock the like Molten Core and stuff. Which most of those raids I haven't even done, because I hit level 50. I hit level 60 on my original Alliance server, like around the time that all of the content had dried up. So what happened is they were done adding content to Vanilla, and Burning Crusade was announced and coming out and everything at some point in the future. And every raiding guild had either completely finished farming all of the existing content, or they were just at like a stage where it's like they were just, you know, like either had stopped raiding altogether, or they were like, you know, doing nice, well-oiled machine raids of the existing content and not letting any new people in. They were just like getting their shit and not interested in recruiting because they didn't need to push or anything anymore. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, they're just farming. basically.
So there was no reason to recruit. So that it was, so like I found end game to be impenetrable, which was sad because you like finally hit max level for the first time at level 60, which was hard to do at the time and so on, and like you're like, oh, my character kind of doesn't have anything to do anymore. What do I do in WoW now? Which like you could be like, oh, I'll just start a new alt or whatever, but like you get in your own head about the idea like how, but that'll just end in the same dead end of what do I do now? Which which is what I had a little bit with I made when Ziplac, my rogue, hit level 120, I was like, oh, what do I do with you now? And then that like did put a little damper on my alts I'm leveling, like this character in my shaman, where I'm like, yeah, but what do I do with them when I hit max level? Like, am I gonna become a raider, or am I just leveling for the sake of it, or what? But
I mean, well, raid. I'm down to do a pug raid.
But one of the things that's keeping me going...
They take about as long as dungeons do, so there's no...
Jesus. One of the things that's keeping me going right now is just the fact that I have a time limit before this event ends, so I might as well just keep going for now.
Yep,
but I don't know how much I'll be playing this game in my free time after this event's over.
I would like to get
we'll still do the series. Level. Yeah. No, no, we'll still be doing the series. I'm talking about like my free time, because I do keep playing WoW a lot, but that might dry up the moment this event ends. Ow. Gravity hurt.
Usually does.
Yep. I don't think we can do a raid though until you hit level like 58.
Oh really?
Yeah. That's what I was saying, is like level we get Ubers, or we get Elbers at 55, and then we get Molten Core at 58. Let's see, Molten Core, Blackwing Layer, and AQ are 58. Oh wait, no, Ruins of AQ and Temple of AQ are both 58. So yeah, at 58 we can do Molten Core, Blackwing Layer, and both versions of AQ. Were those all the raids in Vanilla WoW?
Possibly. Saw one just came out for Vanilla WoW.
Wow. Because Burning Crusade had Karazhan, Gruul's Lair, Magtheridon's Lair, Serpent Shrine Cavern, Tempest Key, Battle for Mount Hyjal, Black Temple, and Sunwell Plateau. I did all of those except for Sunwell. I was there for the whole fucking shebang. It's weird to think that Vanilla WoW had so much less rating.
Concept was new.
I did progression rating through all of those dungeons. Like night after night of failing and failing until finally breaking through, and then going on and getting your next tier of armor, and then going on to the next raid and so on. I've
only done pug raids.
The whole time. I've never done a single pug raid.
Never had an issue with them. Pretty easy.
There was no matchmaking when I played. It was unspeakable. Yeah, back then. The fucking raiding was hard. I think it might still be hard, but only in the not pug mode version. Because that's what I heard, is they have like, it's like now. I guess now it's like Diablo 3 and Diablo 2 and stuff, where they just have a bunch of difficulty levels for stuff. That's how they're doing raiding these days.
And it's pretty easy. You just kind of like, you know, don't stand in that spot. Everyone attack this, like, you know, take out the ads. Like, there are people who show up and they've done it like so many times, they'll shout in the thing. Like,
yeah, they have like kids, they have like macros that they press, or deadly boss mods that announces the rules.
Exactly.
I kind of enjoyed the everyone do the right thing, figure shit out aspect of when I played, I think it might have been Battle for Azeroth, actually, where we were playing the dungeons, and the game just has a guide built into it now. So when you're playing through Battle for Azeroth dungeons, each boss fight has, like, things you do need to do besides just shooting the boss. Then there's a trick to all of them. But every boss also had, like, a guidebook explaining how to fight each boss. It's like, oh, that's nice. So it's like, you don't have to like look up on like fucking like Atal'Hakkar about how to fight the boss, or like install mods that explain the boss fight to you, or know somebody that already knows, because that was the reality of all the obscure raids and stuff in the old stuff. Was often just like trial and error of like massively difficult, punishing, brutal fights that just would not tell you how to do them. Whereas I was having fun. You just open up your little notebook and you read through, and it even has a different heading for like, are you DPS, a healer, or a tank? Because like it'll explain to you specifically what you should do if you're each of those roles. I was reading all 3 just to like get in on it, and also because I could tell people what they're doing wrong because they probably weren't going to pay attention.
Yeah.
But like, it's like, oh, this is interesting. They put a lot of thought into these fights. Because this, as we've seen in this series, all the old dungeons, you just stole over the bosses, and then you just beat the dungeon. And you're like, did it?
Yeah, you just kind of go through your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the boss is like, stop, okay.
And every 10th boss or so, suddenly will be like, aha, I have a death zone. Don't be in the death zone.
That's what I kind of like. That's what I really like, but I somewhat really hate about Final Fantasy Online. Yeah. Is I really appreciate that the bosses feel like raid bosses. Every single dungeon is a raid boss, and it's like, damn, okay. And I like that. That's really great. It's fun. What I hate about it is I fucking always forget about it.
You always forget that you have to try.
Well, because there's so much stuff I have to learn. Yeah. So like every single boss has its unique pattern, and every boss has a secondary unique pattern if you want to unlock a special thing in that boss. And there's so much information to learn that it poops out of my head the moment I'm not doing the boss.
Maybe that'll go on our list one day.
I'm always down.
Like once we're done with our hitting level cap, and our characters are just there to be like used when we have an event to do or a raid.
Yeah.
We somehow end up in a raid or whatever. It would be like we could do. There's a list of options. There's Secret World. There's Elder Scrolls Online. And there's
Elder Scrolls is boring.
And Final Fantasy 14.
Elder Scrolls is mad boring.
I always want to take a look at Secret World. I'm always torn because it sounds like it has like mystery puzzle quests that you like have to solve and figure out and think about, which is like the type of thing I'd usually try to do alone. But it's couched in an MMO, which is exactly the type of thing I don't want to do alone, because it's like an MMO has so much downtime and like repetition that I wouldn't want to do solo commentary. And of course there's always Old Republic.
Boy, really digging in the barrel. You want to do
that was a reasonably
DC
fun
Universe
game.
Online too? That's always an option.
DC Universe Online. Stinky Diver.
Stinky Diver.
Our old ass
Here to clean
playthrough.
your pipes.
Played that once upon a time. I was a weird reptile man in a trench coat that could climb walls, and you were the Stinky Diver. That was bizarre. It is not a good time looking back at that video. It's like the audio and visual are fucked up, and the editing was bad, but also our commentary is bad in like multiple ways. Or it's just less good, it's just on an entertainment level, but it's also like, oh dang, no, why did you say that? Like level, because we were so much younger that it's like, no, don't say those things. Stop. It's like, oh right, that was 8 years ago. We would just say much worse things because, you know, gamer culture kind of encourages you to say really, like, especially like late 2000s gamer culture online leans towards just the worst shit coming out of your mouth sometimes, and it's like, oh no, these don't age well at all.
We had that conversation about JonTron. And it made me go and watch some of his old stuff, like especially Titanic and some other classics. Like,
that's your idea of old stuff?
Well, not old. Like I wasn't going back to like fucking.
That's like I've left Game Grumps 3 years ago old.
Yeah, I'm with JonTron. I mean, old is you can go like a decade.
I think of I think of like what at the time we kind of thought was the golden age, where actually, funny enough, I think I asked you once what your favorite video was, and I said what my favorite video was, and I think they were both videos that were released during the year he was at Game Grumps. Like, I liked Nightshade or Darkshade or whatever.
Yeah.
The detective noir puzzle game thing. And you liked another video that came out right next to it that I think it was like Space Quest or something like that. That came out like around the same time. Oh, I think I'm supposed to ride a horse.
I think yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and like those are like our favorite videos by him, and it's like that was 8 years ago.
That was 8 years ago. No, but so I was
now.
watching. I didn't. Again, they're not the older, but there's generations of videos, and you can tell based on
the chicken.
Or you could used to be able to tell based on profile icons, but then he changed. He went and updated all of his old videos with the new icon he had, which made it harder to distinguish which ones were the old ones. But I wanted to see like one generation back, because all of the new John videos, all the thumbnails have John actually in the thumbnails, and so that's how you can tell when it's not the good one.
Well, there's the old videos that were like pre-Game Grumps, and then including Game Grumps, and then I think the first video he made after Game Grumps was Home Alone.
No, I think he made Home Alone while he's still at Game Grumps, because I remember they talked about it.
I don't think so. I think they just played Home Alone.
But I think I thought they talked about him doing that as a video.
I don't think
And I think that was the last video that, well, that was the last time John was on Game Grumps.
Let's see. Sorry, I'm constantly having to clear my throat today. Home Alone was 2014, so no, that's later.
Oh, damn.
I looked it up. That's 6-year-old video.
Jeez.
I'm blown away by how old some things are that I liked once upon a time, where I'm just like, oh,
I'm feeling it now.
And it's like, in a lot of cases, it's like, oh, I liked that thing, and it doesn't exist anymore, at least in that form. Like, I remember watching the sequelitis videos in college, and then like this big way, like, wow, it's been years, and now there's a new sequelitis finally about Zelda, and like now that one's like 6 years old. And you're like, I'm gonna die tomorrow.
I mean, sounds hard.
Oh.
Well, you know, wash your hands.
You're 55.
I am 55. I've been doing questing while you've been talking.
I've been doing questing.
You haven't been doing questing, because I'm over here doing questing that you should be doing questing on, and you're not doing the questing.
I already did that one.
You didn't do these quests. I know you didn't do these quests.
I did do that quest. I already went all the way down there to do a quest.
No, you didn't.
We just didn't do these quests around here in the same order. So now I'm doing the ones you already did over here.
Doubt it. Sounds like a typical excuse.
If only there was like video evidence of some kind.
Well, I can't see it right now because I'm busy playing a video game. My eyeballs can only focus on one thing at a time. Yeah, if they try to focus on two, then they go cross-eyed.
State of mind, and just you're trapped there, and you can't process things anymore.
Can't wake up.
It's the end.
Oh wait, I need one more. Hey, zipper zapper. Zipper zapper. You know what? There's like this weird part of my brain that says, okay, you're not really good at entertaining people in long-form content. Maybe you should try doing ticky-tacky videos.
Ticky-tacky
videos.
Little houses on the hillside. Little houses made of ticky-tacky.
Because they're just bite-sized. They're just jokes. You're just one joke. You just make one joke and then you wrap it up. Clap, clap. All right, done.
Yeah. Cooking on TikTok.
Somewhat easier, at least from a perspective of the alternative being, well, I guess we can make, like that could be funny for 30 minutes straight, which is really hard. And then I think, well, yeah, but that's kind of boring because I'm boring and I can't think of any funny jokes in a small, short time because I'm not a comedian. I'm just a human being. And then I thought, well, I wonder if I could combine the two. Like, what if you had a long form story told over hundreds and hundreds of fucking TikToks? And
like,
then I realized that might be really annoying because I would
do you mean like Marble Hornets?
What's Marble Hornets?
The Slender Man, the original Slender Man, like video series that inspired a lot of the games and so on. It was like the series of like almost like Blair Witch sort of like found footagey sort of thing.
Yeah, that's like a whole genre. Clips. There is like a whole world of like
all implied to be like the real world or whatever, and they all fit together, and a lot of them are like kind of boring world building videos that just kind of like, oh, it's just the characters hanging out and just having a normal one or whatever, or like, oh, they're out here, and or sometimes it'd be like a really normal video where not much happens, but in the very brief, like you scroll down the comments and someone would spot that like Slenderman was in the background or something weird happened in the video that wasn't apparent just watching it. You'd go to the time code and be like, oh my god, and then there's like eventually
I believe that the genre is found footage, like that's just the genre.
And then there's eventually like the episodes that are like the equivalent of like, you know, oh god, she's in the corner, and then the camera got dropped, and like so on, like confrontations of some kind.
Yeah, but not that level, like not thriller style. I meant more of like comedy,
like that one
short stories.
Like it's like that one like really like low quality or low production value indie game I played back in one of our indie horror game compilation videos that had like the dinosaur game and so on. There was that one where I walked around inside of a house and a little 2D masked gremlin guy would come at me, and he was like a Doom asset. But like there's like creepy ass thing where like you walk into a room and then you turn around, you look at the TV, then you turn back around and you see down the hallway he's just sitting on the bed or whatever. Or like the shit where like I'd close the door and just be like nope, then open it back up later finally and he'd be gone. I'd be like, oh no, I don't like that. But like I think like that guy, I think that was directly in, I think there was a scene in Marble Hornets that was inspired by where I think the camera turns around and sees down the hallway into the bedroom, and like there's just a figure sitting on the bed, and then they just runs at him after a second. It's like, ah!
that
like
sounds
you have just enough time to think like, oh, what the fuck is gonna happen here? When you just see like a person just sitting on the bed, like, what does this mean? And then he just gets up and starts sprinting at him. It's like, ah! I don't like this. I think that was Marble Hornets. I could be wrong. But like that kind of stuff was like those kinds of things, and it was like, yeah, like it was kind of all building up towards something or trying. I didn't pay enough attention for long enough, but you know, that's the whole thing. So that's what I think of when you talk about like, I'm gonna tell a story over hundreds of TikTok videos. It's also what's her name? What was the vlogger that was fake? It was
couldn't tell you.
Lonely Girl 15.
Oh,
where it was literally fake. Like it was a vlog series that was like a scripted story essentially, that like went completely off the rails eventually. Like that kind of thing is like there's been some versions of that where it's like, I'm gonna do YouTube, but I'm not gonna do the whole, instead of being like an approachable person that you're gonna love and want to put in your life or whatever, I'm gonna be like a weird artificial storyline thing in the disguising as a channel.
That's I was just thinking, I don't know, I was just thinking of like, what would I personally find to be the most entertaining type of video, because it's something that's not too difficult but not too what's it called, convoluted either. Like, I don't want to do, like, I've seen ones where people make TikToks that are like mysteries, and it's like, okay, well, I'm not gonna, that's a lot of work. I gotta keep track of a lot of shit, and then I have to like I have to perfectly condense it down into these small bites. So it's like kind of breaking down a Detective Conan episode into small chunks, and it's like, I don't want to do that. That doesn't sound fun to me.
But what if people love
I don't know. Ultimately, I found that TikTok's just weird. I don't really understand it at all.
Oh yeah, I've never looked at it. I don't really know what it is.
It's basically just,
it sounds like just like the 12th iteration of this idea of short videos you watch on your phone, which for some reason keeps needing a new website.
Yeah, I think social media is just kind of reaching its tail end,
yeah,
and
like
I think
it keeps
people are just
morphing
kind
onto
of
new sites. I'm like, isn't it the same idea again? I'm confused.
Like, this is something I would see on Instagram.
Because there's like Snapchat, Instagram.
Snapchat
TikTok,
is another one where it's like
Vine,
almost the exact same thing.
And I'm like, these are almost all the same thing.
Well, Snapchat's a little different.
Well, because like supposedly part of the idea of Snapchat was its temporariness. And that like
and because it's
until it started having not temporary things.
Well, yeah. Leave me alone. I just want to ride my mount through here.
I think part of that was this idea, like, oh, it's like Snapchat, it's like Facebook, but it won't haunt you when you run for president later, because it doesn't stay around. Yeah.
Is it lied?
Da da da.
Ow, that's a lot of damage.
I know people that hate Snapchat because it has this thing where you can it takes the temporariness approach to its chat, and so people use it to like force them to engage, kind of, because if you can like ignore a text message for later or like pretend you didn't see it or whatever, and kind of just like, you know, come back to it when you're in like the right emotional state to even be dealing with this kind of shit or whatever the hell's going on, or even just dealing with people, just because sometimes just like you're just not, it's like I can't people right now or whatever. But like Snapchat, messages come at you, and then it's like not only does it like mark as read the moment you look at it, but it also like will delete itself soon. So you have to like respond to it immediately, or you're gonna forget what it said and not know what what it was, and then you're gonna be the person
what the context was.
And you're gonna be the person that's like ghosting people because you can't respond to the message now because it went away, and you're like, I don't know what it said anymore. And so it's like, so you have to respond immediately. Snapchat. Yeah.
Because I've done that too many times where I've done something, I've gone, okay, cool, and then something distracted me, and I look down, I'm like, fuck, what did they type? What did they say?
Yeah, I don't.
And it's just because like I
really like not using any social media.
Well, that is also, I can't help myself. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something about it just is
I
like,
have YouTube, like my entire job is social media technically with YouTube, but then besides that, like I just have Discord. So I'm in a couple of friends Discords basically, where I can talk to a few people here and there. And then I have a Twitter account where I mostly just follow online people and scroll through their shit, but I don't really like, I don't have friends I'm following on Twitter besides you basically. Like that's not.
I was gonna say, how many real life people do you know that use Twitter?
Yeah, YouTube, like, yeah, Twitter never became like an analog to Facebook or anything for me, whereas for some people I think it did.
Yeah, I know a lot of people in real life that use Twitter.
So I just left Facebook and it never got replaced by anything. Every now and then my mom will be like, ah, did you see blah blah blah's video? I'm like, no. The answer is always no, Mom. I'm not on Facebook anymore. If people want me to see stuff or they want me to know about something, then they just have to bring it up when I talk to them or whatever. Like,
I've done the thing where with my family, I just tell them like, look, if you want to show me something, make sure and save the video.
Because being on YouTube just makes me like all of you. I mean, being on Facebook just makes me like all of you less.
I mean, yeah.
Because boy, being exposed to all of your thoughts all the time, bad time.
Turns out that all of us tend to have bad takes all the time.
Oh yeah, no. It's just the misinformation bad takes website that actively makes the world worse. God, I hate Facebook. It's been so nice not being on it.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Like the Trump being elected was the big breaking point where it's like, oh, I can't be here anymore. It'll just make me unhappy every day.
Out of control. That's kind of how Twitter's felt too, but I think more so just because he's on Twitter saying things. Yeah. So then like you can block him, but you don't want to block him because it's really not healthy.
You feel like you feel like it's incorrect to be like, I'll block the president.
Well, it's not even just that. There's a weird
sense of like, this is like, what if it matters?
Well, that's the thing. It's like people block the word Trump, and I'm like, guys, I understand.
That could go bad.
Can be a lot. It can be a lot, but you should also be aware of things happening. Like,
yeah,
you should be aware if, like, say, Trump decides to kill Congress. It's like, okay, well, maybe you should pack your bags. It's time to go. Germany 2.0 just happened. Like, you know, like
there's just always a thing where, like, because of the results of the election, you know, you're constantly surrounded by Trump supporters just in life, and they're just there, and they think these things, and you can't do anything about this, but you just got to live in this world. But like, it's kind of a background noise. But like, every time you go on Facebook, it is the fucking text. And it's just,
yeah, it's the only thing
it's just so constant, and it's like, there's no reason to engage with this. It just makes me not like a lot of people.
I mean, that's ultimately what's great about social media, is that it makes me ironically hate the very people that I'm following.
Yeah.
it eventually just it's a weird tool to pick people
have
against
no
each
filter,
other.
so like all these people that wouldn't be bringing this stuff up constantly and normally will bring it up constantly on Facebook.
Well, yeah, I mean that's
and
the
get like
thing
these
about
flame wars
anonymity.
about it. In part because whatever they probably just saw something on Facebook that incensed them into wanting to talk about it, because Facebook's algorithms are designed to constantly incense you and like aggravate you and like make you angry and make you volatile, because that's when you engage with Facebook and use Facebook more. It's like it's an incredibly toxic thing that actively is bad for your mental health and your relationships.
Yep.
So it's like it's actually
great.
bad for your social life to be on Facebook.
I
Yay.
I don't know. There's a part of me where I feel myself less happy.
I just want to open
when
Twitter and look at dumb comics.
See, that's the problem. Like, I
oh,
open my
here's
Twitter
Shen, and here's the guy
like
that does the comic that has the purple wolf and the pink wolf.
Oh.
And those things. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, the furry guy.
The furry guy. I did see the tweet where he got his he got what he called his government issued persona. It's like because he was drawing a comic with the little wolves doing wildlife shit, like he just gained a furry audience, and then people drew a character for him. It's like, this is yours now, you're stuck with it.
I seen you around here before. Be careful out there.
That's a long queue. Oh, it's apparently found everyone but a tank so far. Weird.
Keep it real.
I didn't realize you could highlight it and it would say that.
Oh yeah, it shows you how much left. 1 second, I'm gonna get
Well, it
some
says how many people we've hammed so far, yeah. I didn't know about that. Yeah, the queue didn't pop, so we're fine. Good to see you're still doing things on YouTube. I thought you quit for some reason.
Yeah, that's why I replied to that. I was like, he quit his job? It's like his career.
Like, it sounds like you got bored of me and left at some point. This is probably the case. That's a new take.
Well, he didn't get bored of you. He stayed here making content for you day after day.
That's an interesting comment. There's always the ones that are like, I thought you used to have more subs, what happened? And that's always like just delusion, where people like,
Be careful out there.
they're really, it's just them seeing my subscriber count and being shocked by it not being that big, because they're only used to being exposed to people that have millions of subscribers. So they're like, oh my god, what happened? And it's like, nothing happened. I've been continually growing. I've never gone down. I'm good.
Keith, what happened?
Yeah, but it's unusual for someone to be like, I thought you died. Like, I've been consistently uploading videos for 9 years. Still here. Sorry, disappointed. But no, that probably.
Sorry, I'm not a doctor like my.
The takeaway from that is likely that they just got bored of my content and left.
Well, not necessarily.
And then they rediscovered me one day.
I've had things where I like leave, or not leave, but I just don't watch a channel for a while.
Yeah.
And then I come back because I just wait for.
Well, you're different because you like don't subscribe to stuff.
I don't.
Like,
I also don't subscribe to stuff.
Or like you don't use the subscription page in the first place.
I have a very.
So you kind of just hear about
unhealthy
videos being out and watch them when you get around to them.
Yeah,
you literally have. So you watching anything on any channel is contingent on you like remembering they exist and feeling like looking them up that day.
Yeah, I'm a weird person.
It's a much more digestible way of using YouTube. Just being like, oh yeah, I just fucking found Quentin reviews this week, just watching his videos all week, and as far as I'm concerned, that's all that exists on YouTube this week. Whereas for me, it's like every time I discover any channel, it's like, and do I watch the videos of this channel? Or do I watch the constant the flood of incoming videos on my subscription feed every day? And like, I'm constantly just like, I'll be like, there's 10 videos I want to watch today, and I'm gonna watch 3 of them, and the other ones are just gonna kind of keep drifting further down the subscription page, and it's much like video game releases where it's like, I'm never gonna reach all these. You can't do that. It's impossible.
I'm in a fortunate situation where I can watch a lot of videos while I work, especially now that I'm working at home. But I can just sit and watch videos, so I consume a lot of just video content.
Yeah.
And so I don't really have to care about like when people have new stuff coming out, because I just move on to the next mass amount of video watching. Are you gonna make me ride this thing? It's not gonna kill me, right?
I like that they made it so you can be like, this bag has trade goods in it, and then click the cleanup button, all the trade goods go there. I hate that you can't be like, I mean these trade goods.
Yeah.
Like you want to have specify iron in there? I'm like, no. I put iron in there. Don't know.
Why are you littering in my bag?
Stop it.
I gotta go to the grocery store.
Like, I just want cloth. I just want my cloth and my enchanting bits, my gems, because they might come in handy. Oh wow, dark iron scraps. Dark iron residue. Wow, I'm remembering old WoW items a bit. Dang.
Welcome back to your childhood.
Gonna take you back to the past.
That's
gonna take a shit in your ear. That's the lyrics, right?
There's a lot of interesting things about that channel. It's such a weird it's such a weird gem in the internet.
Yeah.
Like it's somehow
at least nothing distressing happened. Like
that's
some
what I
other
mean.
channels.
Like nothing in the series itself is distress. You know, like was.
Like it's not Channel Awesome where it was like, oh no, every news is bad.
Wow.
Because Channel Awesome had, oh god, so many things came out. They were all bad.
I feel like all I've learned from the Channel Awesome thing was like, yeah, if you have a group of content creators, unless you vet them very carefully, chances are there might be some bad people in there.
Isn't this guy with blue hair named Calic, the dragon Calicos?
I don't know.
From the Caverns of Time? I think it is. That stands out to me specifically because one of my early servers was Calicos. I think that's where my level 51 Orc Warrior was.
Oh.
So the names kind of burdened my brain a little bit, and then like, there's just a human with blue hair named Calic here, and I'm like, hang on, is that Calicos? I think that's that dude. I think I'm drawing a connection for a second here. I have a spark of recognition in this disgusting world.
It's possible. I like how we're suddenly helping goblins deal with a like they're trying to, I'm assuming, just exterminate a Naga species off a beach.
Kill them all. Kill them all. Make them dead. Die, die, die.
I always wonder how much of this is like, are we the bad guys, and how much of this is necessary?
That's another thing where it makes it really hard to care about the narrative sometimes. Is the sheer number of deaths.
Oh, that too, yeah.
If you play World of Warcraft for like any amount of time, you are ending the lives of hundreds of sentient creatures every day.
Yeah,
and it's like, you know, maybe it's best not to get attached. Let's maintain a healthy distance from the narrative of this game.
Their fantasy is really tough.
Like,
because
how likable could anyone truly be?
I mean, that's the thing, is like when you look at fantasy series, though, there's a lot of like, wait a second, aren't these sentient creatures we're killing? It's like, yeah, don't, but they're not human. It's that change it? And it's like, yeah,
I'm not human.
I mean, you can't kill humans.
No.
That's a crime. That's why all the good guys are always human-like, and then all the bad guys are always like monsters.
You know this like rare ass music that's playing in this town when you fly to the city?
Yeah.
Like a xylophone is playing or something, and it sounds like Grant Kirkhope trap.
Yeah.
Trap. We're gonna trap Grant Kirkhope right here.
I mean, that's kind of what's
gonna go in this hole, and then we're gonna knock him out.
That's what they call a crunch.
Do
Yeah, but I do know the music.
It's
pretty kicking.
It's unusual for the music to stand out to me this much in this game. I'm like, oh, look at this. Also, I finally inevitably found what I needed to find. I found the zone that has basalt columns in this game.
Nice.
Ooh, water walking. Neat.
The only thing that
made it.
Did you just get the spell for water walking?
No. So I think Calicos put it on me.
Oh.
Because he sent me on. He sent me across the ocean to do a mission.
Oh, I got super excited. I was like, what?
I think he gave me water walking. Yeah, I don't think. No, my shaman has water walking.
Yeah, that's why I was like, wait, did they change it? Do you have?
I'm a warlick. I don't do shit. All I do is drain other people's sustenance for my own benefit, like a Skeksis.
Yikes.
Yeah.
That's scary.
I summon demons, I suck life out of people to make demons, I suck life out of demons to make more demons or heal me. I just kind of just like take a bite out of an imp every now and then for funsies.
57. Man, this queue is taking forever.
It's been 25 minutes, motherfucker.
There are nobody on.
Never gonna see
almost
a dungeon
58, again. By the way.
Wow, we went aggressive. I kind of hesitated for a bit. Did a little trade goods stuff. I cleaned up my inventory. Used the restroom.
Yeah, I was like, look, I gotta get to 58 or we ain't gonna do anything.
Yeah,
so
I mean, we can raid at that point.
What level are you?
I'm 58.
So we're about to raid then.
Yeah.
What is this? Call pet 4? Great, thanks.
You level pretty fast in Ashara. I played her as my rogue. And it pretty quickly closed out. I think I just played the intro. Oh, save the wounded soldiers. I think I just played the goblin starting zones because there's 2 of them. And then I played Ashara and then Desolus, and I think I was level 60 at that point. And that was just questing in the world. I wasn't doing any instances.
Damn.
I got it was interesting because one of the reasons I like world questing, aside from the fact that I just think it's kind of more entertaining than doing a dungeon, because I feel like dungeons are perpetually the same behavior the entire time, every time, basically. Yeah. There's a monotony to it, even though it's effective or whatever. Part of the appeal for me is that not only is there like all the new expansions I've never played at all, but of course Cataclysm changed all those zones that I know. And since they added scaling world, you can play any zone at any time, more or less, and it doesn't matter because it all scales to you. What? Hey! So now, every time I level a new character, I just pick different zones to go around in. And I'm like, oh, that's what happened here. Like Desolus is like a verdant jungle area in some, and I'm like, that used to be a sad, depressing open plain full of centaurs that you had to convince to love you.
Fuck, lower Blackrock. Oh, I didn't mean to do that.
Oh, you did a big bad, you fool.
I did a big bad. I did a huge bad. I did a super bad.
You
I'm
are
so
a
sorry.
fool. I'll put the soul stone on our tank right now. There you go. You just saw the exclamation point and just got tunnel vision.
Yep.
Like, give me quest. It's like, guy's covered in things. He's covered in bads.
That was my bad.
Whoops. They're fools. Squirrel.
Just real excited about that exclamation mark.
I'm
it's
sorry,
like,
exclamation blindness. I yelled no at my screen like you could hear me. Funny how much that became a fucking thing. The movie Up came out so long ago, and people still say squirrel.
I mean, it really touched people's heartstrings when the grandpa and the grandma didn't live forever.
Oh no, mortality.
There's something about mortality in children's movies that make it so much more impactful. Because like in regular movies, people just die all the time. Like an action movie, there's just like hundreds of people die and no one talks about it. There's no thing on the news. There's not like a... Like, I think John Wick literally killed more people.
There's a reoccurring comment on
9/11
when I'm playing like action games and so on. It's like, huh, that guy looked about 40. He lived a life all the way up until that moment, and then I killed him that dumb way. That's the dumb way he died. And people will be like, stop it. In the comments, like, stop it. Stop calling attention to like the actual context of this action scene. You know, where a bunch of people lived for approximately 40 years and had hopes and dreams and families, and then they died in this gunfight without anyone knowing their name.
Yep.
Like that's what a lot of these action sequences are in video games, like in The Last of Us and stuff. It's like, yep, that guy, like, is about 45. Yeah, he lived about 45 years, and he died here. The end. Like, those are people. He died here those
for a job. Like, this is just somebody trying to make a paycheck to feed a family.
Whereas for me, it's
you're
like,
out here,
I think I'm in the right.
Banting.
Like, I think you're supposed to wallow in that guilt and that feeling, because Joel's a real piece of shit, like, canonically. Like, he's supposed to not be a good person in the game. It's not like Nathan Drake, where it's like, oh, it's subtext, like, oh, maybe he's actually a piece of shit because he's a symbol of colonialism and he kills hundreds of people in this happy-go-lucky, wacky adventure. It's like, no, in Last of Us, the game knows that Joel's a piece of shit. And it's acknowledged multiple times that he has like a horrible history of doing horrible things. It's like, no, you're supposed to kind of acknowledge that these people are just dying badly. Like, and they were people. You're supposed to, that's supposed to be bad. Supposed to be bad. Hank is my hub, so we gotcha. Oh, we got a couple. We met when we joined the guild. We got another couple in the group. We keep having that where, grumbles. We keep having, these groups. Like, remember the one that was like covering for their friend when they were disconnecting and stuff. Like, no, he'll be back and stuff like that. Because like, if you were just a random anonymous person, no one would know what the fuck happened. Like, but a lot of these people are group queuing.
I know that feel because I've I've had that a few times before.
That's a lot of bosses.
Where I've had to explain to people mid raid, like if CeeLo was doing tanking, he would just keep running while taking a shot, and like, no, you're running away, you're running, come back. Like, sorry, he's just taking a shot. He'll be back in a second.
Oh, because he would like numlock?
Yeah, because he would just numlock run and he just like run off.
Oh no. I think I'm trying to remember old words about how WoW used to work, and the word that just came back to mind was attunement. Where if you wanted to do end game raids, you had to get your attunement, which meant you had to basically complete a quest / get an item in order to be able to physically enter the location. And it comes to mind because I think I remember hearing about, I think it was this dungeon, Lower Blackrock Spire. I think you needed your attunement to get into Uber's Upper Blackrock Spire, and then or something along those things was involved in how to get into like Blackwing Lair or Molten Core or something. Yeah, there's like
there's a hierarchy that you have to go through in order to like get to the very end.
Because you couldn't just go into these places.
Yeah, you can just walk.
Yeah, and I remember that about like. I think I remember some of that existing in Burning Crusade with like, I think you need to get your attunement for Black Temple. The Illidan dungeon, as you had to like do stuff to earn your way in. You couldn't just like walk in. I think you might have even had to do one of the previous dungeons to get access. So when we wanted to like, I think there was a thing where when we wanted to get other people to join in on future runs, we're trying to fill out our roster or switch somebody out, we had to take them to one of the old dungeons that we already cleared.
Hey, 58.
Because they needed to like clear that first or something, like that kind of stuff. I don't know.
That wasn't me. Someone else.
You're not 58, you fraud.
Yep, I lied. My bad. I'll probably be there by the end of this dungeon. Maybe.
I know I will.
If not, I'll be there by the time I turn in these quests.
Yeah. Dungeons are big experience. We get more experience if we get randomized dungeons, but then we get a lot of dupes because we played all of them.
Yep.
We played every goddamn dungeon.
And you know what? Whenever I play randoms, it's always the longest ones. Like I always end up playing the dungeons that take forever to get through. They either have like cutscenes or they have like weird gimmicks.
You get a flat total every time you do one, so you kind of want it to be stockades.
Yeah. Oh god,
so
you just want it to be stockades so hard.
It's over instantly, and then you get your half a level of experience for just doing. That's not a reward for the dungeon itself, but for picking a random one.
Yeah. Plus you get a bag. Most people do it for the bag of items.
Do
sell
they
that
though?
Bag of items.
With how many people have heirlooms?
Yeah, you sell the bag of items. It's a fast way to farm for gold.
Yeah. Because I'm always disappointed by the bag of items. I'm like, these are none of these are useful.
Nope.
I have
they sell for good.
I guess they're probably useful for an enchanter like me.
Yeah, you can disenchant a lot of them too.
But at the same time, it's like, do I care about enchanting? Because like,
that's a different kind of question. That's a question you ask yourself in your soul.
Well, I mean, no, they've changed progression. So like in Burning Crusade, you had to do all of your vanilla leveling and then get to Burning Crusade and then do the 75 levels of Burning Crusade leveling.
Oh boy. Just
oh god.
Them all, huh?
Yep, this is happening. But there was 300 levels of profession in vanilla WoW. And then 75 levels added in Burning Crusade, and I think that Lich King might have also added 75 levels. But in modern WoW, each expansion has 75 standalone levels, and the only requirement to start doing those levels is to just be the appropriate level for being in that expansion, like your character's level, not your profession's level.
Yeah.
So you never actually have to get those 300 ranks in vanilla. I can just go get like Lich King enchanting when I get to Lich King and just start there, for example.
Interesting.
So to some extent, I'm not sure what the point is of leveling professions while you're leveling, because they're all for defunct hierarchies that don't exist anymore. And part of it, I think, is because, like, for example, you choose whether to go to Lich King or Burning Crusade when you're leveling, for example. But so then, like, if they had to be a linear sequence of professions, then you couldn't do that, and you'd also have to go to Burning Crusade, then to Lich King, just to get your profession up, even though you didn't need it for leveling because you already finished that whole level range or whatever. And like the process of getting to the modern expansion in a profession would be incredibly convoluted because you'd have to level your way through so many individual different continents, like resources. You have to go to the continent of each individual expansion, gather so many resources that you can do the entire profession's hierarchy, and then like just go start over and do it again, basically. And like that, and like it's like, imagine doing that for like the game's like 8th expansion or something. It's like,
yeah,
you'd have
at some point you're like
leveling one character's professions would take so long, and the idea of like leveling the like ever changing your profession or like leveling your alt's profession now would be like such a huge undertaking. It'd be terrifying.
I mean, I'm trying to level my profession.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is like at the moment we get to the expansion, we can just start from there in every expansion. Like I did that with my rogue.
I'll never be skinning 300 unless I do it now.
Yeah, but like with Ziplag, I just kind of did an arbitrary amount of. I just used whatever resources I got over the course of the expansion to level my inscription. So like each expansion's inscription rank is like I have like 270 in vanilla, and then I have like level 50 in Burning Crusade, level 0 in Cataclysm because I never went. I mean, level 0 in Lich King because I never went there. Then level 20 Cataclysm and level 40 Panda and so on. And it's just like it's weird. It's weird in the context of how the profession used to work. And like each expansion has its own meter for that expansion's professioning. It's weird.
Yes, yeah, I do find that weird. I did hate the idea of like visioning, where I was like, God, why do I have to re-fucking train cooking? Like I already was max level cooking. Can I just continue? Yeah. And then they did a weird thing where they finally merged it together, where like I can train up to Draenor cooking. through profession if I had Draenor.
And nowadays you just hit the correct level and the trainer will just give you the training for that particular expansion, like it's a mount. Like it's training for that. And then
your provisioning master is like, all right, now it's time to learn this style.
Yeah, and then it just gives you like an additional meter to fill.
Yep.
And like all the recipes for that expansion are in their own heading. And doing stuff in that heading will only level that meter and not like your original meter. Like the only way to finish leveling your 1 through 100 is to go back to Azeroth and do those zones.
That's why I try to do it now so I don't have to. Which
can be even more confusing because some of Azeroth's zones are Cataclysm zones and not Azeroth zones.
Like my leather.
So they have the resources for the wrong profession.
That's what a map is for, sir. Use it. Or lose it.
I mean, I never pay attention. I just trust
you're
them.
Following.
Yeah.
But when you're tank and leading, it is important to know how to read and use a map.
This is why I never tank. I'm afraid to lead a group.
It is very, very frustrating at times because there are very dumb, shitty mechanics in WoW dungeons that are never explained but are implied to know through loss and failure. And I hate that.
Bar. Numbers. I would like to have all the numbers. I'm getting tired.
No, I'm feeling myself getting frustrated with trying to watch shows lately, like anime, because everything is so fractured now. Where I keep finding out, like, wait, there's a season 2 to this show? Where the fuck is this show? Who has this show?
Oh, like which services have an anime?
Yeah, and it's like there's so many. Like especially Netflix, where it's like, oh, that one got touched by Netflix. Like, okay, so I guess I won't get to watch
the Shadow Realm until next year.
Yeah.
Then there's then there's like Crunchyroll versus Funimation when it comes to like subs and dubs and so on, of like which version each one has.
For some reason, like Crunchyroll has all the dubs for every anime, but Funimation has its own subs. So
I found that Crunchyroll constantly doesn't have dubs.
Crunchyroll does have dubs, but it's Funimation's dubs. They have some of their own dubs, I think, for certain series.
I think I saw that Funimation has dubbed Dragon Ball Super and Crunchyroll only has subtitles, for example. And I think I saw that for a few different things, because I was like, maybe I should just jump to Crunchyroll now that I've watched like the 1 or 2 like Funimation exclusive things I was looking at. But then I saw that, like, oh, a lot of these look like they're subs only on Crunchyroll and they have dubs on Funimation, so I guess I should just stay here a bit longer. Like, I think Dr. Stone might have been one of those too.
No, Dr. Stone should have had a dub.
Oh, Attack on Titan was one of them. Attack on Titan subtitled on Crunchyroll and dubbed and subtitled. Options are both on Funimation.
You have to look up simulcast.
And I wanted Ashley Birch.
What?
Ashley Birch plays Bread Girl, or Potato Girl, I mean.
That's just like a fucking minor character.
Yeah. But no, it's just I watched it so far in Japanese. I mean, in English.
Oh.
I watched the whole show that way. That's also what characters sound like. But hey, she's still around in the anime, at least. She's lasted this long.
She's still around.
She's still there, and so is Krillin.
Yikes.
The character who is Krillin.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
I'm here to be kind of funny sometimes, but useless always.
Look, every team has that guy. The lovable doofus. the goofy of the group, one might say. I don't know. I kind of disappointed that I feel like there was potential with the original 3 where you have a character, you have a main character, and you have 2 secondary main characters, which is Mikasa and Armin. And it would have been great if Mikasa and Armin were, or not Armin, whatever, fucking.
Mikasa didn't do a single thing in the entirety of season 3.
Yeah, Mikasa didn't do shit. She doesn't do shit a lot of the time.
She just exists in the background. Because her entire role of being the dangerous badass was replaced by Levi.
Yeah. Well, that's because they needed her to focus on a more appropriate role, which is to keep fawning over her brother. Originally, I thought what was going to happen was that they were going to have, you know, it's going to be a typical shonen style where it's a boy, he's got to learn to fucking have responsibility and his actions have consequences, but he has a great power that he can use to save all the people he cares about.
Instead, it's an anime about learning he's not the main character. And then the anime just moves on without him for most of it.
Well, it's a show that's he's not the main character, so he needs to become one by literally removing all the other main characters from the show, which is an interesting option. I'll give him that.
No, my spotlight.
But I thought the idea was like Armin and Mikasa were going to be like angel and devil type people on his shoulder, where Mikasa is very like lets him give into his impulses. He can be, you know, like basically she's not going to judge him. And then you have Armin, who would be someone that's more critical and is like a real friend who's gonna be like, yo, you're fucking up, like don't sacrifice yourself, think of your family, you gotta be a good brother or something. Because you know he's a child, like he's literally a child nuclear bomb essentially. And I feel like the show just kind of pushes him away as time goes by because it doesn't know what to do with this dumb nuke child, where it's like, well, you could technically kill any human character instantly in the show, but there's Titans, but you can kill almost all of them instantly too. Well, but what did the humans do?
There's a skill and an X.
Yep.
Are we sapping the X? Is that what we're going for here? What do these symbols mean?
The skull first, I guess. This is probably more for the wife or husband, whichever
Maybe.
one is. I don't know which one's
I don't think anything was explained.
Whoever, well, that guy's dead. So go for the X next.
Anyway, they're going quick.
Yeah, whichever one is tanking, probably put them on so that way those are signifiers for what to focus on for the other.
But no, I think I'm gonna watch. I think next is gonna be I'm gonna watch Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo so that I can then watch Space Dandy.
Watch Outlaw Star too. Come on, man.
Is that part of that?
It's part of what?
Well,
wait, sorry. Why are you? What are you attempting to do?
Stephanie was saying that it's like that's like the order essentially, because the whole like the gimmick of Space Dandy was supposed to be that it's the people that made Samurai Champloo and Cowboy Bebop coming back and kind of iterating on that.
Oh, tangentially. I mean, it's not like it. I don't. It's not even the same director. They're just people who worked on multiple ones. I think I might be wrong. I think Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo might be the same director, but I think, but at the very least, I know it's not the same group. Like, it's not the same staff.
I think Champloo and Bebop are made in the same style, essentially, aren't they? Like the same.
They might be made
duration,
by the same studio.
the same dynamic, the same specific emphasis on like a genre of music that goes alongside the entire story.
Let's do a quick.
I think they have like a specific connection, and then that connection is supposed to be connected to Base Dandy also.
Written by 2 different people.
I do also need to finally watch season 2 of Kaiji. I bounced off the first time because it was just so long.
Director.
It's too far away.
I bounced off Kaiji season 2 when I first tried to watch it a few years ago because it became about like this. I think it was a dice game, and it was like really long use of that storyline. And I'm like, this is way less interesting than season 1.
You thought that was the long part? Oh my sir, you gave up way too early.
I like season 1 so much, but season 2, I'm just like, this dice game is not interesting.
The one that hurts everyone in season 2 is the fucking pachinko arc. Holy shit.
Oh no,
have you ever wanted to watch Kaiji play a pachinko machine? Oh, it hurts. It's so long. It takes forever. And the matches are like literally, real life, literally 1 second matches. Like imagine if it took 30 minutes to just put a quarter in a pachinko machine.
Imagine if it took people an hour to get through 3 minutes of visual novel.
I mean,
I'm reliving that right now. We're starting to get those comments a bit on Phoenix Wright. It's like, listen, this is just what happens when people let's play a visual novel and actually do commentary besides just fucking reading it like children, and we just need to read it to you like a book and not say anything else. And Phoenix Wright gives us a lot to comment on because there's just a lot of like, what the fuck in the story. It's a lot. It's more with love though, if you know what I mean. Like we're constantly like, that's not how anything works. What the fuck? That's not how a court. Whatever. What the fuck? Like stuff like that. But like, we're having fun with it. It's not. It's definitely stupid. But not in like, I mean, it's not infuriating. But it's not like infuriating the way that 999 and Zeroscape got.
Because it doesn't take itself that seriously.
Yeah, and the characters are actually charming, and it's all kind of amusing.
It's more of a gag game, so they're fun.
There's elements of it that are stupid on purpose, but there's also elements of it that are kind of not on purpose.
Yeah. I love like most of the reactions don't sometimes feel like they reach their intended reaction. Like the way that people turn into bad people, you know, like when you question them too hard, it's sometimes like, I don't think you intended it to be this type of funny, but it is this type of funny.
Well, like we're something that stands out to us right now is that like we are, I'll be vague a little bit.
Yeah.
Spoilers or whatnot, but like we're currently like, I think we just finished like our 2nd day of a case or something like that. Like it just keeps going. And like there's a photo of a character in a costume, and you get this photo immediately. Like you get it so early in the case, and immediately Stephanie and I look at that photo and we're like, those pant legs don't fit. Like that person, that's not the right person in that costume. It's so blatantly somebody else wearing the costume. And we still haven't finished the case, but we're still like several days in, we're still just waiting for a single character in this universe to acknowledge that this photo is clearly like, the pant legs are clearly like a foot longer than their legs are, and like dragging behind them, and we're just like, somebody has to see it. It's like it's the first thing we saw when we looked at that goddamn photo, is that both of us immediately recognized that thing, and like not a single person in universe is recognizing this clue. And it's like, I swear to God, like we're just both waiting for it to be like the fucking plot twist, the 11th hour of the 3rd day of the trial, when it all seems lost. Someone's gonna have a fucking epiphany. It's gonna be the first fucking thing we noticed. Like it's like that. We're just having that that's the part of Phoenix Wright that's like not that's like not intentionally dumb.
Yeah.
Because like all the tongue-in-cheek stuff and like the judge that's just an idiot and stuff like that, that's on purpose. But but stuff like that where it's like, when you like, I'm pretty sure I saw what might be the most important clue of the entire case 2 minutes into the case, and we're gonna like draw this out for 3 days while not noticing this, and there's no mechanic for being like, excuse me, what about this part?
Yeah, you can't skip a lot of stuff because you found the actual winning clue.
Yeah, like the game does a thing where it kind of like shows its hand, and you'll like realize what's going on, and there's nothing you can do about it. Like the fact that you figured it out does not matter.
How do you think I feel every time I watch an episode of Detective Conan? I'm like, no.
Because the only way you can play Phoenix right is that a witness is called to the stand, and they tell a story, and then you cross-examine that story. Yeah, where you pick a specific line of what they say, and you point at the evidence that contradicts it.
Objection.
And that's basically the entire game, more or less. And so it's really rough when you're like, there's no way to bring up this really obvious thing that I've noticed that everyone should be talking about and should be the centerpiece of this entire case, because that's not the language set the game operates on.
Yeah. Yep. It is rough. It's a lot more rough when you watch the anime, and you've played the games, and they make minor changes, and you're like, how dare you?
Yeah.
Fucking dare. But the overall ending is still the same. So it's like this weird, like, why the fuck did you get rid of that? Like it's fine. Like there's no need to.
It is also interesting though to see like the level of which the like kind of like the game Judgment, where like there is like a noticeable satire happening somewhere in here that I find interesting.
Yeah.
Because like Judgment specifically was a game that wanted to address the fact that like 99% of criminal trials in Japan result in conviction, which is horrifying. Like it's completely horrifying to think about that.
I mean, not if you're a government.
And like that's exactly what Phoenix Wright starts putting forth too, is this idea of like Edgeworth just pursues conviction at all costs and thinks he's doing the right thing by just convicting absolutely everyone all the time, because of course they did. Like, if anyone who's even accused of a crime definitely did it in this universe, is how all of the people in this universe treat everyone accused of a crime except for Phoenix Wright, basically. And so like it's just like justice is you just confirming that the person who was accused then goes to jail via this rule set of like the song and dance of the court system. There is no questioning of whether or not they were wrongly accused, basically ever. Like to the point where people almost act like you're like doing something wrong if you get anybody off. Essentially, it's like it's like fucking Edgeworth's feet look so defeated. Like as if something bad has happened, to the point where like in later cases he won't even acknowledge that previous cases were like a person being innocent, for example. But also there's a commentary on like a little bit of like concepts such along the lines of like public attorneys in like the United States, for example, in the idea of that the universe has a hard limit where every trial has to be over in 3 days, which is functionally the reality of a public defense attorney in the United States. I don't know if there's an analog in Japan that's equally fucky or not, but in the United States, it's common for a defense attorney that's the public defense attorney guy to have to do 150 cases per year, which means they only have like a couple of days to spend on each individual case. So even if they like try their hardest, the United States
court system is super backed up.
Yeah, so even if they try their absolute hardest, they're like they have to be able to like completely prepare for and defend this case in only a couple days, and then it's over, and that's it. That's all they get. And like that's Phoenix Wright situation. And in Phoenix Wright situation, it's like actively being satirized in a really cool way, where like you go into the first day of trial woefully, embarrassingly unprepared every time, it seems, because you basically have no idea what's happening. And like midway through the first day of trial, you find out entire other people exist in this case that you didn't even know about yet. And like then it blows the trial wide open. Then you have to go desperately go back into the field to try to gain evidence again under this new pretense that, because you found out that not only did you only have 1 day to prepare before, but you were preparing it under a completely false pretense, not even understanding what was going on in the case, because of course like the people involved in the case lie to you and obscure facts and so on, so you don't even know what to investigate, which just highlights how much like everything about this should take time, and it's why trials do take time. and how it's like really farcical to have this happen. Like there's a character in one of the cases that essentially filibusters you for an entire day and just wastes your time and waste the entire first day of the trial by just actively obscuring information for essentially no reason. And then at the end of the trial, you're just furious at this character because you're like, fuck, you knew this whole time and you just hid that, and now you have to go back and fucking start over basically. And it's like, but like those details coming to light does not change the deadline. So you still have to finish these trials in a day, in only 3 days. Like when you finish the second day of a trial and they're like, this new thing has come to light, so we need to investigate and come back tomorrow. The idiot judge guy will be like, this will be the final extension, and it's like, fucking why? Isn't the truth what matters? It's like, no, punctuality. Punctuality is the goal here. He's
got a quota to meet, man.
Like
everyone's got a quota.
The idea that in universe a massive revelation could blow the entire case open and fundamentally need like a reinvestigation, but they'd be like, nope, that was the last day, I guess he's guilty, go to jail. It's like, oh god. That's why you just don't commit crime. And just don't commit a crime or be accused of a crime, which means you committed it. I mean, it's concerning. You just have to keep your head low. That's why nobody gets into anybody's business, because if you accidentally get a finger pointed at you, that could be the end of your life. I remember when I criticized the Japanese justice system as a result of playing Judgment and stuff. Like, I was being called racist for criticizing Japan's culture and stuff, and it's like, first of all, and then also went on great lengths about like all these issues with the American justice system, and it's like, first of all, I can criticize this other thing while also knowing that the one that we have has all these things wrong. Like, yeah, America's not a perfect system by any means, literally. Like, but like, you can still notice obvious flaws in a thing without having like your own fucking affairs in order. No one, like, I mean, not even Japan agrees that Japan's conviction rate is good. Yeah, like Japanese people experience it firsthand. I was literally playing a Japanese game that was criticizing those systems and just agreeing with the game. So like people get defensive against like Americans on behalf of Japan and stuff, but I'm like, this game's made by Japanese people, you motherfucker. And it made the point first. I'm just talking about the point they made. But like, people are just people get so reflexively defensive because like anime fans are often like just they have like a fucking reflex that they just constantly bounce on for like defending Japan in general. And so like so sometimes it triggers in the most embarrassing contexts where they just make fools of themselves, which is probably every time actually in that context. But yeah, probably because there's a lot of American fans of anime that are really insecure about anime, and so they're just constantly defending it. Japan presents itself as a utopia with seemingly it's like the equivalent of like gamers that are still embarrassed about playing games even though everyone does it. It's like that insecurity level that we kind of felt in the back of our heads in like elementary school and high school and so on, that's like totally gone these days. But like anime fans never got past that, and they're often still like incredibly defensive over stuff, and so like any perceived slight towards any facet of Japanese culture has to be fought to the death over. And it's like, no, you're embarrassed. Stop, you're embarrassing yourself. Like, I'm literally playing a Japanese game making that point, but you'll still go after me for just like agreeing with the game because it's the game's criticizing Japan, which results in me saying things about Japan. How dare you? It's like, I swear to God, I don't have to sit here and take this for Japan. Yeah. Holy moly, this dungeon is taking a long time. This questline can't be transphobic because trans people don't exist in Japan. Like, oh no, he's an idiot. One of my takeaways often with the defense of Japan is often it infantilizes Japan as this helpless country that doesn't know better in a lot of cases, and it's like, all right, well, you're being more insulting to Japan than I was. Jesus, it's a weird situation. Unaware of their situation. They're very fair. I mean, again, they live their lives there. Like a lot of the defenses of Japan that are like gut reactions of like Western weebos or like condescending to Japan and insulting to Japan on like a really like in a way where I'm like, do you even understand what you're saying about them?
I mean, no, because it's not what they mean. In their head, they
talk about Japan like it's a fucking
culture, like they're trying
native,
to culture you by teaching you.
They talk about Japan almost like it's like a sheltered native tribe in like the core of Australia that's never seen like the rest of mankind before. It's like, what the fuck?
They know exactly what they're doing.
Oh wow, I've been having flashes of recognition here, and now I remember like we played this dungeon with you and CeeLo like years ago. So specific in the brief instance where you were the right levels because you guys kept out leveling us. You like could not stop yourself.
It is really hard.
You out leveled us twice. It's like oh, we're gonna join your WoW series, and then you hit our and like the first time you tried, you out leveled us before we ever even encountered each other a single time. Then you start over from scratch on new characters, then hit our level. Did 1 day of instances with us, and then immediately out leveled us again. It's like, you don't really get this, do you?
Well, because we were wearing instance gear, and you don't not wear instance gear.
No, it wasn't even the instance gear. It was the fact that you like you couldn't stop yourself from just playing all the time. Like you guys weren't registering the idea of like having a let's play character and then having all of your ults to play off camera. So you would just like. The first time you out-leveled us so hard that you couldn't play with us in the same dungeon because their world scaling wasn't a thing back then. Like you were incompatible, and then when you met up the next time around to play with us, you like played it with us just that session, and then just kept playing those characters after that session, but without us. And it's like I don't know what you expected, man. And then we never played again.
I guess that's what I expected. I don't know. I don't know why we continued playing if we had characters. Probably it most likely was because we enjoyed playing and we just wanted to fill them out. We were like, fine, we'll just get some other characters to level up with you guys. And then I think after we maxed out 2 characters, we were like, let's not play WoW anymore.
I think a similar thing happened too, where you did a drive-by where you just kind of swept in for like 1 or 2 sessions when I was playing with Nick and Marty, and then you just like, and then you were gone again. I was like, playing WoW with Andrew plus anyone else is a weird juggling thing that doesn't work. Somehow, something's wrong with this. I don't know why. It's cursed.
It is
almost as cursed as Deadly Premonition playthroughs.
Is Deadly Premonition cursed?
We failed to do a playthrough of it like 3 times, and then I just did it on my own. Remember, it was the first time.
I do remember all the audio issues, or the one we had the audio issue where the microphone turned all the way down.
Yeah. No, so we had our first ever Deadly Premonition attempt, which was back when we were just really new at Let's Playing, and it was back when we just didn't ever really finish anything. We just kind of would sit down and play anything for a session, and that was often like that session duration was often as long as that playthrough ended up being. Was just like the playthrough would just be that one session, cut into some episodes, and then we play a different thing the next time we met up. Like that was just constantly the case.
Oh,
but yeah, then we sat down in your bedroom and we had Joe there, and we recorded longer than we ever had before into Deadly Premonition, like pretty far into it. We met like the doctor and oh fuck, where the fuck did these guys come from? We got to like the doctor guy and stuff. And then we finished the recording and we cut it and we were stopping for the day, and then we look at it and we look at it and like the fucking Joe had turned all of the audio dials on the mixing board to 0 because it was like some sort of like good practices thing he learned from his like audio engineering stuff or whatever, or that to like turn it down to 0 when you're not using it or something. But he did it without telling anyone he was doing it, and then forgot he did it and didn't turn it back up when we recorded. So we just like sat there for hours and didn't get any footage out of it. And that was attempt number 2. Rough. Attempt number 3 was like after you had moved out of, I think you'd moved to Sacramento, and then you moved back home like later. And Shadow was there at that point, and we were recording in your garage, and it was like at that point we're like years into this, and I had my solo channel, and it was like just a different era, sort of. And we got relatively far. We at least got to the point where we're in the open world and stuff. And now it's like figuring out how to edit the long driving segments. And
oh yeah.
And then one day that just kind of petered out again.
Oh no, I got this stupid wolf.
Like no, this will never be finished. But then like the Halloween before last, I just went and I'm like, fuck it, I'm just doing a playthrough of Deadly Premonition. I just did the whole thing. Can't stop me. I'm doing it.
I didn't. I did not stop you, and you did do it.
Yeah. Oh, the war. I got a war pup.
Yeah, the thing always drops.
Look at the little guy. Oh, that's an outdated ass, old ass wolf guy from old WoW.
Yeah, it's like a.
That's he is not as detailed as the wolf you turn into as a shaman. Who looks very different from the old wolf you turn into in classic WoW. That was like a bright blue weird thing.
Jeez, what the fuck's going on?
Knockback.
Why are we getting pushed around?
Because this guy aggroed on me. Oh no, I move slow. Is by oh there we go. Okay, I guess oh okay. I was like, do I need to retreat? We're
This
good.
tank is really weird. I don't know why he's so hesitant.
Yeah. He might just be talking with his wife.
I need a target.
Man, distractions.
Who would ever play WoW while distractedly talking about other things?
Yeah, come on guys, get it together.
I was watching my brother tank because he's playing modern WoW again, and he's fucking aggressive. He's so fucking active, and he's just he kind of never stops moving and just expects his group to keep up with him. Like he doesn't he doesn't really even kill the mob he's fighting. He just kind of like aggroes everything, then just keeps walking forward in the dungeon. I'm like, whoa. Anxiety.
Yeah, the whole team is supposed to. The DPS is supposed to pick it off as a.
It's just a flesh mob. It's like I'm just like.
The idea is that he just
this is the full
puts
aggro,
enough
hard mode version of instancing.
Yeah, well, it is for the. It can't be for the healer if the healer's not ready for. Or you don't have the right healer.
Yeah.
Some healers just can't actually keep up with that. I don't think our healer would have that problem. 56. What is he? He's a druid. It's not the best healer. Okay, this guy's gotta go.
Little demon doggies, go! They've got demon dreadlocks for some reason.
Oh, those are the the Draenor dogs.
Mar.
I have those as a mount.
You can have those as a mount?
Yeah.
Weird. Like two of them?
No, just one.
Is it just a huge one?
Yeah, it's just a huge one.
Huh. This is a lot of boss fights.
Yeah, it's a long dungeon. That's why I was like, oh no, not Blackrock Spires.
Yep, it's the last one left. I mean,
it's the last boss.
I gave you a lot of warning that it's what it was. That we're playing Lord Blackrock Spire.
Oh no, I know. I just meant like.
That's like the last dungeon available in the entire vanilla WoW game. We're all out. All that's left is raids. But hey, you'll be 58 hopefully. We can do raids next session or something.
I'm about to be 58 this encounter. So whenever someone dies, I will be 58. There you go.
Da 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 da. We did
Thank
it.
goodness.
I think this is so long because this was supposed to be like the intro raid.
Yes, this is like,
supposed
okay,
to warm
guys,
you up
this
to the
is what
idea
raids are
of a
gonna.
raid. But with only like a small
long.
group of people.
They're tedious.
Wasn't I think lower Blackrock Spire, either lower or upper Blackrock Spire, I think used to be a 10-man group.
Upper Blackrock Spire. That's where the
that was like the proper intro to raiding. Is you did 10-man in UBRS, and then you'd go on to like a proper raid with 40 fucking people. After that, it's like time to go crazy.
proper raids are scary. I don't like proper raids.
40 was a scary ass number of people back in the day. They got rid of that.
All wanted to be on voice
they got rid of that one expansion in. But you had to be on voice comms constantly because you had to run through it all.
But 40 people, that's a lot, man. This is pre-Discord days, guys.
Well, yeah, most of you were supposed to shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
just listen to your leaders. That was the days of Ventrilo and TeamSpeak. I remember being in that shit. Yeah, I remember in some fights we had to go into a separate chat room of just rogues so that we could call out our kick rotations.
Damn.
Because we had to do three different kicks on rotation. Because there was like 3 kickable instances we had to deal with over the span of 1 cooldown of how long kick's cooldown was. So we had to call them out and rotate, or the thing would go through and the raid would wipe.
That is that's a struggle that most people don't know.
I think that was the Black Temple boss fight. That was just a floating face. Oh fuck! There's a patrol. Where the fuck did they come from?
They show
He's
up.
spooky, scary guy.
Get rid of him real quick.
Everyone's healthy.
We'll survive it. I'm just saying, just take care of the DPS if you can. No reason to leave him alive.
We're not supposed to ignore the ads like that other guy was mad about. Remember that weirdly aggro guy?
That's someone who's like speed running. They'll tell you to just ignore anything because healer's job is to keep healing forever and ever. If you're not taking damage, then why are you even here?
This guy is tanky. There we go. Hey, we did it. Everyone get their achievements. Level 59.
Got a heart.
Do 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 do.
Have a chance to bathe the target in flames? No, garbage.
We have a quest to turn, don't we?
Yes, I believe so.
The burr, he's gone. No, he's not. He's a troll.
Teleport out of instance and then teleport back into instance, so you'll be at the front of the instance.
They see me teleporting. Tell no one.
It's actually only 11:30.
Don't want to get reported for crimes.
All right, nailed it.
And this time it's not covered in monsters.
Yeah.
Crucially.
Crucially.
Hey, we're out.
Also, this time I have all of my quests completed. Oh, actually, let me. Oh god. Explosions happening.
Almost none of these items are usable because I've got heirloom gear.
Yeah,
all garbo.
It's all stuff to sell. Free gold. Free gold.
Slowly disenchanting everything. Oop, that's an enchantment. That's an enchanting spell right there. I also got a spider. Oh yeah, right. I remember that happening last time we did that dungeon too, where you get a warg pet and a spider pet in the same dungeon. How giving. Hello. Oh yeah. What a strange looking creature. For some reason has like dreadlocks basically, but also with no skin on his face. And also maybe no skin everywhere else, but his face just has no flesh period, but the rest of his body looks like skinless muscle. It's like, huh.
Yeah, it's like bone and shit.
It's a lot to take in visually. Yeah, maybe we'll try to schedule a day to play this.
To raid?
Before the event's over. Like on Sunday or Monday or something, because we'll probably spend Friday and Saturday doing group stuff like usual.
Yeah.
Still have no idea if D&D is happening.
Me neither.
No idea. But we have plenty of games to fill the time with regardless.
That's true.
And also at some point, this is another like background thing because there's always so many things to juggle, is eventually we gotta get back to, we gotta do a Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
We just fell the fuck off that wagon.
Yeah, we do need to do.
It's hard to organize these things.
Well, I think the hard part is just a lot of games keep happening, and then it depends on the group, and it depends on.
Also, like that was kind of happening while we were in the middle of like no one coming to multiplayer stuff. It was just you, me, and Effie for like months.
Yeah.
So like it's like, oh, what do the three of us do? And so that's when it seemed more plausible. But now, not only are more people around, but Effie also was like, let's do a D&D campaign. So now our prime day has D&D in it, which extra ensures that there's not time where it's just the three of us. It's like, I don't know when to plan Iceborne. Not to mention, I still think we need more practice with not Iceborne.
Think so?
Between all the super equipment and the teamwork, we've been able to get away with a lot. Where, like, it's relatively clear that we don't know our weapons that well and so on, and aren't like that on top of things. And Iceborne will punish the fuck out of that.
Makes sense. Like
while we were talking about doing Iceborne, the videos were going up where people were commenting on like how like Andrew doesn't even know how to use the Ahn'Qiraj. And like it was coming up over time. It was like you were like, oh, I'm supposed to shoot different body parts. And, like the thing you're supposed to learn on day one was coming up after we beat the entire game, basically, because like between the super equipment they give you to let you skip the main game to get to Iceborne, and the fact that we're playing co-op, you're just getting like shortcutted past having to really be like fully effective.
I was given leniency.
And I think they were saying like you started using the clutch claw during the vanilla content, but you would use it to like grapple onto people while they're charging and then get killed by the impact because you're grappling into an attack, and then you'd be like, what's that? Ah, that's not blah, 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, we have some learning to do.
Yeah. It's a game that takes a lot of hours, a lot of practice.
Yeah. And we haven't, and once again haven't touched it for months. Whoops.
Yeah, and those are both things that we don't often as a group have.
It is a hard series to cover. We almost need to like schedule a weekly day where it's like the Andrew and Effie day.
I mean, that if you want something done, that's the way to do it.
Yep. And I'm just like, oh god, at what point is every single day accounted for in my life?
That's how I feel sometimes.
Because right now, the days where I don't have anything scheduled with other people are the ones where I'm like, ah, I can get caught up. Here we go. Like, I can make up for me not quite hitting my goal on some of those other days, like D&D day or whatever.
Well, I mean, you can always just, you know, like, push those days back if you need to.
Yeah, and I do sometimes, but it's just like, yeah, it's just the number of different things you want to be able to accomplish can be like, you think, oh, we'll just schedule a day for it, and then before you know, there's like, that's all the days that the week has. You've run it. That's the end of time. Goodbye. We had a bit more of a chance when we tried introducing Marty to Monster Hunter, because then the days where it's the 4 of us, we could have played Monster Hunter, but he didn't like it. So I was like, well,
yeah.
And Monster Hunter's too much for Bird, I think, because it's a lot of dedication and paying attention and so on. And so he's, I don't know.
That's the hard part.
I don't think that any of the people in our current group are likely 4ths for that. Which is unfortunate, because the game is balanced for 1, 2, or 4 players are the 3 difficulty modes. So whenever we play 3-player, we're actually kind of making it harder for ourselves, is my understanding of it.
Sometimes I notice.
Yep. It'd be good to have a 4th.
It definitely feels that way sometimes. Alright, that's the dangerous place. Don't want to go in there.
But then there's the next layer of complication, which is that even if we get a 4th, we've already beaten the main game. So like we either need to start over with the 4th person or like rush them through the entire game again. Or they have to be someone willing to like put the time in on their own. And that's always an issue with YouTube people, because like if you try to bring in somebody else to help like augment your YouTube series, there's that issue of like, well, they want to have a full series too, but you're already this far. So that if they start here, they have to skip all the early stuff and just start there, or you have to like go back and help them cover the original part. It's like the issue of like, it's one of the like the thought experiments that comes up when I think about like how would I potentially cover the 3rd Zero Escape game without Andrew, for example. And it's like, if it was another YouTuber, then they'd have to just arbitrarily only cover the 3rd game on their channel, or it'd be like a selfish like only for my channel thing, or like that kind of logistics.
I don't know if it's even something you would need to catch anybody up on.
Yeah.
I mean, the game is so, it just kind of makes shit up as it goes along anyways. Is like a...
No, I'm just talking about the concern of like, from the perspective of the other YouTuber, if you try to bring somebody in midway through a series, like if they're putting the videos on their channel, then like their audience is just like, where's the first 2 games? Why don't you cover the first 2 games? Like that kind of thing. Like it's like there's like an unfairness to that kind of idea. And so that's what I think about when I'm like, what if we could talk like Kernel RPG into joining Monster Hunter? It's like, oh, but then like, what does a series? Does a series start at Iceborne, or do we like talk him into like doing a solo series on all of vanilla Monster Hunter, then joining us in group for Iceborne, or what? Like it's like the work on the other end is like confusing, because it's weird to just do a series on the expansion without the main game being covered, for example. And then like, do we go back and start the entire playthrough over with him? And then if that's the case, then it's like, do I cover that, or do I just not record any of that, or do I upload like my 4th playthrough of Monster Hunter's main campaign, basically, just because we have to start over for this person again or whatever? Like it's so many fucking complicated parts of this idea.
Already sounds like too much.
It's a lot, but yeah, I got like daily things like, when are you gonna do Iceborne? When are you gonna do Iceborne? It's like this shit doesn't come easy.
Sure it does.
It's complicated. Everything about this is so fucking complicated.
Hey,
I'm revered fucking complicated. I'm hearthing to Orgrimmar.
Oh fuck, my hearth is still at Warcraft.
It is midnight.
Tail. God damn it.
Did you not change your...
I still keep forgetting to change my thing.
We literally went back to... Wait, what? We ended that session by going back to Orgrimmar specifically so that you could reset your hearth.
Maybe I did.
Just highlight it. It tells you.
It said Wyvern's Tail.
Wyvern's Tail?
Yeah. That's the... Okay. I'm in Orgrimmar.
Okay.
That's a different bar. It's just a bar in Orgrimmar. Perfect.
Okay.
Okay.
Wait, you're right. Wait, you're right here?
Yep. I'm in Orgrimmar.
Oh, wait, I'm like, you're like right next to me, aren't you?
Yep.
Why does your Hearthstone say Wyvern's Tail?
It's the name of the bar.
Yeah, but mine is set to here, and mine says the Valley of Honor, which is where this is too. This is the Valley of Honor, is where the Wyvern's Tail is. That is weird. It's super weird. Our things have two completely different descriptions of where they take us. Weird. I guess we'll never know. Fuck it.
Probably not. But I have a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I'm almost level 60, dang it. I'm so close.
I am level 60. I'm gonna go get my flying.
That's so unfair. I want my flying.
I mean, you can grind to 60 if you want to. And just stop right at 60.
Go to bed, man.
Like don't have to do it. Don't have to do it now.
Why not? I'll probably grind out to 60.
Like you're allowed to catch up.
Just to close the gap at some point.
Yeah. And then we can just go off to Burning Crusade or Lich King.
Yay.
And also start queuing for other things.
Queue for big boy dungeons.
Big boy dungeons.
Ugh, I'm so hungry.
Ooh. Not counting instances, we now have Utgard Keep, the Nexus, as Joel Nerob, Hellfire Ramparts, Blood Furnace, and Slave Pens. Because we have access to three instances from each of the expansions already.
I like that. Like that.
So that's good. Well, good night, everybody. Oh yeah. I was say like good night, everybody, but I'm like, I'll go unlock flying real quick. Then you can see this cool dragonfly for a second, I guess.
All right. Well.
I mean, I'm right here.
Have a good night.
Might as fucking well.
What do you
See ya.
Go on, get. Whee! I'm flying. That's all it takes. You just click a button. Like 200 gold, please. I'm like, yes, ma'am.